Ever had to book a cab and wondered how you got matched with a driver? What determines whether you find one quickly or wait endlessly? Behind the convenience of app based cab services lies a complex algorithm deciding which driver gets assigned to your request. But why does it matter for how this matching happens? For many gig workers, like drivers and even consumers, these algorithms are not just about efficiency. They impact earnings, fairness, and predictability. Questions about transparency and fairness in these algorithmic systems are now more pressing than ever, especially as gig platforms increasingly replace traditional public transport and employment models. Today, we are going to explain why gig and platform workers are demanding algorithmic transparency. This is Sakshi with MediaNama. Last year in December, the Secretary of the Ministry of Labour and Employment held a meeting to talk about social security schemes for gig and platform workers. During this, Indian Federation of App-Based Transport Workers, also known as IFAT, presented its key recommendations on establishing social security coverage for this workforce. Primarily, in its recommendations, IFAT focused on the importance of algorithmic data transparency and protection. IFAT stressed the need to safeguard workers' personal and performance related data. They also pointed out that companies should prioritize sharing comprehensive data on worker payouts. Moreover, they emphasize the importance of opening up algorithms that decide things like pay, working hours, task assignments, and even account deactivation to make it accessible to workers. Let's start with understanding what algorithmic transparency means. Say, for example, you have an Instagram page and you have 1 million followers, and one day Instagram deletes your account and you're not able to recover it. That means you have to start from scratch again. So, the algorithmic advantage you had by having 1 million subscribers is gone. Just like that, when gig workers are on these platforms, and sometimes if by an error in the system, they might have to move back to square one, which means they don't get any perks. Algorithmic transparency for gig workers means that algorithms used by companies should be open and understandable. These algorithms determine key aspects of their work, such as pay, working hours, task assignments, and account deactivation. IFAT states that workers should be able to understand how these decisions are made. This transparency helps workers see how their performance is evaluated and how their earnings and tasks are determined. It also allows them to identify potential biases or errors in the system, ensuring they're treated fairly and consistently. Sheikh Salahuddin, National General Secretary of IFAT, told MediaNama that there are arbitrary suspensions of accounts and no clarification of why it happens. He also said that trips are allotted without any transparency in the system. We also spoke to Advocate Ajay Kumar, who explained why the lack of algorithmic transparency hampers gig workers. Kumar explained that in a cab app, your rating plays a big role in how much you earn. If you have a high rating, say 4.3 or 4.5, you're more likely to be matched with high paying users who also have similar ratings, which means more money for you. On the other hand, if your rating is low, like 2 or 3, your earning potential drops significantly. That's why workers want these performance metrics and payout details to be safeguarded. Kumar added that if a worker stops using the app for a while and say returns after 3 months, they shouldn't have to start from scratch. And this impacts you as a consumer too. Kumar pointed out that even as a consumer, he wants to understand the algorithm at work. How are cabs being allocated? Will he actually get one? He explains that these platforms have essentially added a middleman to what used to be a direct interaction between the passenger and the driver. Now, this algorithm isn't just about convenience, it's shaping how public transport functions in cities. Kumar asked why such a complex system is necessary, suggesting that a simpler approach of matching nearby vehicles with ride requests and letting drivers accept the trips could work just as well, making the process easier for both the drivers and the passengers. Salahuddin too added that price distortion and practices like surge pricing often lead to problems for consumers as well. He stressed the need for standardized fare to ensure that customers don't end up suffering from these inconsistencies. This also leads to unpredictability of the workday. Imagine logging into your workday not knowing if you will have any tasks to complete. It's like waiting in line at a theme park, not knowing whether you will get on a ride or just stand there all day. You could spend hours without any work or suddenly get overloaded with deliveries. Without predictability, it's hard to plan or rely on your income. That's why knowing when and how you will get work is crucial for gig workers. It gives them this ability to plan their day and manage their earnings. Kumar pointed out that gig workers in the informal sector often don't know how rides or orders are being allocated. One worker might get assigned a long distance trip, which could end up costing them money for petrol, while other only gets short trip. And if they refuse a trip, they get penalized in the system for it. They want to understand the basis for these allocations, and that's where algorithmic transparency becomes important. He added that having transparency in the algorithms would also help workers better understand the predictability of their workday. Kumar also highlighted that with the expansion of the informal sector, India's social security net might wither down. This could lead to people working well into their 70s and 80s because they won't have pensions. He raised concerns about what happens when these workers reach 60 and can no longer work. Will they become a burden on the public system, their families, or will they have enough resources to sustain themselves? In October 2024, Union Labour Minister Mansukh Mandavia relaunched the eShram portal, which serves as a national database for unorganized workers. Platforms like Urban Company, Swiggy, Instamart, Zomato, Blinkit, Porter, Amazon, Uber, and Ola were encouraged to register gig workers on the portal. Subsequently, Uber even offered cash incentives for the first 10,000 drivers who signed up. However, Salahuddin pointed out that the registration process has not been smooth. He raised concerns that without making registration on the eShram portal mandatory and setting a clear deadline for companies to ensure all gig workers sign up, it will be difficult to create an effective welfare scheme due to a lack of accurate and conclusive data. Kumar suggested an alternative in the form of a gig worker identification number. This ID would apply across all platforms, meaning that every time a gig worker logs into a platform, their activity would be tracked. This ID could later be used to implement social security benefits, either from the company, the customer, or both. Currently, gig workers are addressed under the Code on Social Security 2020, marking their first inclusion in the labor laws. However, who qualifies as a gig worker still lacks clarity regarding the precise characteristics of a gig worker. In 2021, IFAT filed a petition at the Supreme Court asking that gig workers be recognized as unorganized workers. Currently, the contract between gig workers and the companies that hire them classifies the workers as partners rather than employees. In their petition to the Supreme Court, the Federation argues that the exclusion from Social Security benefits infringes on their right to equality, as they are unable to access the same benefits as other workers or employees in similar situations. To read more about this, find the link in the description below. Thank you.